and welcome to the Business Standard Morning Show. I'm Kanishka Gupta. It's the 22nd of August 2023 and here are the questions we will be answering today. Why is the government worried about SIM card dealers? Are India's criminal laws changing for the better? What is T Street expecting from Reliance AGM? And what is a demon particle? Rising incidents of cyber frauds have been making headlines for a while now, and efforts to curb them have not yielded the desired result. But the government, it seems, is now trying hard to rein in those indulging in such activity. It has put a ban on bulk sales of mobile SIM cards and has mandated registration and indisputable verification of SIM dealers. Tariq Ahmed tells more about it.
Last week, Union Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, announced two major steps against the misuse of SIM cards. The government has made verification of dealers selling SIM cards mandatory and discontinued the provision of issuing bulk connections. While announcing the new measures, the minister said verification of SIM card dealers will be carried out by the licensee or the respective telecom operator. A penalty of 10 lakh rupees will be imposed on violators. This is likely to have a significant impact on the telecommunications landscape by arresting digital frauds and creating greater accountability among SIM card dealers. Mahesh Uppal of ComFirst India elaborates on what made the government worried about the misuse of SIM cards.
There is obviously a strong security angle, and there is also a strong consumer harassment angle. The government is concerned that unlawful activities are taking place on the telecom network. People are hiding behind anonymity or hiding behind numbers which seem to be untraceable and are compromising security as the government sees it. And of course, the other side is that the consumers themselves are being harassed through all kinds of unwanted calls.
The Sanchar Sathi portal, which the government started in May 2023 for tracking lost phones and disconnecting unnecessary connections, has identified 52 lakh fraudulent connections so far and has deactivated them. As a part of the crackdown, the Union Minister said the government has blacklisted 67,000 dealers who are associated with unethical practices and 300 cyber fraud-related FIRs have been lodged. 66,000 WhatsApp accounts have been blocked. Currently, a person can have 9 SIM cards with his or her ID. There will not be any changes to this provision. But the provision for bulk connections will not be available without the KYC of businesses and KYC of the person who is going to take over the SIM card. The government will bring in a concept of business SIM connections, the minister said. More than 10 lakh SIM card dealers that operate in the country will have to get themselves verified now. Violators will attract penalties. However, the minister has mentioned that sufficient time will be given to the SIM card dealers for verification. Salman Waris of Tech Ledges analyzes how the new changes will impact the dealers.
As far as the agents and the dealers are concerned, it would create a major hurdle for them because they'll need to get police verification and they'll need to comply with all these requirements. So it makes things more difficult. But I think overall it's a positive step as long as it's implemented properly and no further hassles or unnecessary hurdles are placed at the police end or at other ends.
But are these changes enough to address the government's cyber security concerns?
The fact that it'll be more difficult to hide behind anonymity is something that will be a deterrent, of course. Whether it will solve the problem completely, that I think is probably unrealistic to think. I would think that it will make a dent and it is something that makes sense that people who are using the network be authorized to use so. And authorized users means that you also have a SIM that is legal and authorized, and so on and so forth, and that you satisfy the requirements of verification, etc., that the government imposes.
Following the announcements and crackdown against SIM-related frauds, the government wants to ensure every SIM is traceable to a unique person or company. While compliance can be an uphill task for the dealers initially, the new rules are a step towards checking cyber frauds and rampant misuse of SIM cards.
Another government move which has evoked a lot of curiosity is the proposed criminal laws reforms. The government recently introduced 3 new bills in Parliament. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshya Bill are likely to replace the existing Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code and Indian Evidence Act. So are India's criminal laws changing for the better? Ayush Mishra finds out.
Do you know that the current CRPC, or the Code of Criminal Procedure, was enacted 3 years after the 1857 mutiny? And one of the aims was to rein in rebels. CRPC determines the way in which prosecution and justice will be done. The text in the CRPC book is almost the same as it was during the British era. Similarly, the IPC, or Indian Penal Code, which defines the elements of a particular crime and specifies the punishment and came into force in 1862, has also retained most of the elements. The third part in the criminal justice system is the Indian Evidence Act. The demand to amend these antiquated colonial era laws have been resonating in Parliament and outside too. And on the last day of monsoon session this year, Union Home Minister Amit Shah tabled 3 bills to replace the 3 British era laws. They were in the making for a while now.
हमारी न्यायिक दंड प्रक्रिया क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम के अंदर आमूलचूल परिवर्तन होगा और सबको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 3 साल के अंदर न्याय।
The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita bill aims to replace the IPC. The Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita aims to replace the CRPC, and the Bharatiya Sakshya bill will replace the Evidence Act 1872. These 3 bills were later referred to a parliamentary committee for further debate. So what are the key changes in the new bills? Sedition as an offence is not there in the new law. Union Minister Shah said this is democracy, everyone has the right to speak. But instead, a new law on treason has replaced it. So after Section 124A, it's now Section 150. Accused will now be booked for crime against the country and not against the government as it was earlier. The new law comes with a clear definition of terrorism, which the earlier laws like UAPA lacked. The bill defines terrorism as an act that intends to threaten the unity, integrity and security of the country, to intimidate the general public or disturb public order. The bill also penalizes conspiring, organizing or assisting in preparation of any terrorist act. Earlier, the government used to depend on state laws like Maharashtra Control of Organised Crime Act to deal with organized crime. But now the bill proposes a law to deal with such crime for the first time. The bill also tackles mob lynching. It proposes that each member of such a group would face the possibility of the death penalty or imprisonment for life. Minimum punishment in such a case is 7 years. Some other key provisions of the new bills include decriminalization of suicide. Snatching has also been made an offence, and community service has been included as a form of punishment. It also has zero FIR provision. The bill's proposed video recording of search and seizure operations and increased use of electronic evidence and forensics during investigation. And it calls for speedier justice through video trials and holding trials in absence of the accused. So are these changes for better?
Whether it has changed for the better or not will be known only after they come into force. Right now, these are drafts. Secondly, I don't think it was necessary to change all the laws. Suitable amendments could have been made. When you change enactments, then what you lose with the previous enactment is the whole body of judicial interpretation, which has gone in earlier. So now you are throwing away nearly 150 years of judicial interpretations of the Indian Penal Code, interpretations of the Criminal Procedure Code, as well as the Evidence Act.
And what will be the effect of these changes?
The effect will really depend on how the system enforces it, and the system works in mysterious ways. If the system continues to use this law as it has been using other older laws or other laws, I don't think there'll be actually any impact. So it really depends, and you will see when this bill passes, and we will see when it comes into force. There's going to be problems to start off with, because we will have to. I don't know how the police will be responding to it, how the judiciary responds to it. A lot of the institutional memory will now change. 420 will not be cheating. 302 will not be murder. So there is going to be some issues in terms of implementation. Maybe refresher courses for police constabulary may have to be carried out. But it's too premature to say as to how it will affect the system.
So what is the way forward?
The parliamentary committee can go into the bills, can basically do a lot of corrections, dot the I's, dot the T's. But I doubt whether a parliamentary committee can tell Parliament that no, this bill should not be passed. Of course, if the parliamentary committee were to take time for its report and not be able to submit a report in time for Parliament to pass the laws in the course of this Lok Sabha, then another Parliament can take a fresh look.
While the changes being brought in hold the potential to modernize and strengthen the criminal justice system, they also raise important questions about their implementation, effectiveness, and potential implications for individual rights and freedoms. As of now, the ball is with the parliamentary panel.
Let us now turn our gaze to markets. The countdown for the oil to telecom giant Reliance Industries annual general meeting has begun, with Dalal Street eyeing the conglomerate's key growth plans and product announcements on August 28th. Jio Financial Services especially will be in the spotlight after its much-awaited listing. Harshita Singh brings a report on what could be next in line for Mukesh Ambani's ambitions.
The much-awaited market debut of Jio Financial Services was expected to be announced at Reliance Industries Annual General Meeting or AGM on August 28. But the listing surprised investors a week earlier on Monday, August 21, and was rather dismal, with the stock freezing at the 5% lower circuit. Analysts said the company's market debut was tempered as it currently lacks fundamental drivers. Given this, Sonam Srivastava of Right Research expects Chairman Mukesh Ambani to use the 46th AGM next week to lay down growth and expansion plans for the newborn financial services business. She believes the primary focal point for this year's RIL AGM is Jio Financial Services, as investors are eager to understand its future trajectory. After the entity announced foray into the $540 billion Indian mutual fund industry with BlackRock, stakeholders are keen to hear Ambani's growth strategy for this vertical. Jio Financial has identified core areas across consumer and merchant lending, payment platforms, and insurance broking, but has not laid out any business plans so far. That said, RIL's highly anticipated AGM traditionally sees major announcements from the Ambani Group every year. Some of these over the last years have included stake sale plans in the telecom and retail arm, Reliance Jio's tie-up with Google, and the launch of 5G services among others. This time around too, analysts say that developments around the Jio 5G phone, the green energy space, the listing plans of the retail and telecom verticals are likely.
This time around, Jio 5G phone launch, along with its pricing, I think will be something to look forward to. Also, we could have announcements on 5G plans as well as air fiber 5G hotspot device availability and pricing. This was announced last year. Green energy will be another discussion point, with the group upping its investment to about 1.5 trillion rupees. We may also have insights into possible demerger of retail and the telecom verticals.
At the bourses, the stock has underperformed the market so far this year with a mere 1% gain as compared to a 7% up move in the Sensex index. Technical charts suggest the stock is currently stuck in a narrow range.
Since late July, Reliance is seen trapped between its 50-day moving average and the 200 DMA, indicating a trading band of Rs 2580 to Rs 2480. The bias is likely to remain positive as long as the stock holds the 200 DMA support. For a fresh rally to emerge, the stock needs to conquer the resistance at Rs 2650.
Thus, the expected announcements, if delivered at the AGM, can break the stock from its consolidation phase. Today, on August 22, the market trend will be dedicated by global cues, foreign flows, and prices of key commodities such as crude oil.
He's making plans for an early retirement. Business Standard.
Even with the lower valuation, Jio Financial Services is the third largest non-banking financial company in India after Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Finserv. More details about this new company are likely to emerge during the upcoming AGM. Devil, as they say, is in the details. So is the demon. Scientists recently claimed to have found a demon particle while plunging into the depths of atoms. They were trying to find this elusive particle for over 60 years now. Raghav Agarwal tells more about it.
Recent research published in the Nature journal has highlighted that the scientists at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and Kyoto University have noticed a strange effect while studying a compound called strontium ruthenate. It is a combination of two metals, strontium and ruthenium. It has led them to find the demon 67 years after it was predicted. One of the most important discoveries of physics is that electrons lose their individuality in solids. With enough energy, electrons can combine to form particles called plasmons, with a new charge and mass determined by underlying electric interactions. The mass of these particles, however, is not possible to form under normal room temperature. In 1956, David Payne found an exception. He argued that if a solid has electrons in more than one energy band, the respective plasmons can combine in an out-of-phase pattern and form a new plasmon. This new plasmon, according to Payne's, will be massless, transparent, and charge neutral. These came to be known as Payne's demon, or demon particles. The word demon is an acronym for distinct electron motion. He predicted that these demon particles will be able to exist at room temperature. This had the potential to provide more insights into the study of superconductors. In solids, some materials see resistance drop to zero at very low temperatures. This is generally below 130 degrees Celsius. The current can pass through these materials at zero voltage and without any energy used. These materials are known as superconductors. Under very high pressures, superconductivity is known to occur at normal temperatures. However, there are some materials which are not superconductors but have some properties similar to them. One such material is strontium ruthenate. The team of scientists was conducting a survey of the metal's properties when they stumbled upon the demon. Peter Abamonte's team was examining strontium ruthenate with momentum-resolved electron energy loss spectroscopy. Under the technique, energy from electrons is shot into metal to observe its properties. During the observation, they found something unusual, an electronic mode with no mass. It consisted of 2 electron bands oscillating out of phase with nearly equal magnitudes, behaving just like Pines theorized. Now, superconductors are used to run MRI machines and in many electrical circuits. But it comes with several challenges. Very low temperatures or very high pressures have to be maintained to retain the properties. The utility would improve massively if the phenomenon can be replicated in normal room conditions. So if this team or some other researchers can make sense of the results and manipulate these effects, they may achieve a better understanding of how superconductors work. It may also enable scientific breakthroughs to allow superconductors to work at room temperature.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.
Interestingly, both demon and God particles were found using the same method, that is quantum deviousness. Well, that's for today. For more news, views and analysis, please log on to business-standard.com. If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.